The blizzard hit Boston like a punishment. Marcus Webb pulled his mop bucket through the marble corridors of Harrington Financial Tower at 2:47. In the morning, the only sound in the entire building being the squeak of wet wheels against polished stone and the howling wind pressing against 60 floors of glass. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? He was 34 years old, broad-shouldered from years of physical work, with tired eyes that still somehow managed to carry warmth in them. He had been cleaning this building for 3 years, invisible to every executive who passed him without a glance, which suited him fine. Invisibility was peaceful. Drama was expensive, and Marcus Webb could not afford expensive. He had a daughter to raise alone. Lily, 7 years old, sleeping right now at Mrs. Kowalski's apartment 2 floors below his own, dreaming whatever bright dreams 7-year-olds dream while their fathers mop marble at midnight. He thought about her constantly, the way her gap-toothed smile could physically reduce the weight of any burden he was carrying. He mopped and thought about Lily and listened to the blizzard punish the windows. That was when he heard the sound coming from the executive washroom on the 48th floor. A sound completely wrong for an empty building at 3 in the morning. Something between a gasp and a sob, controlled but barely. Marcus stood still for a moment. Protocol said he should call building security. Something older and quieter than protocol made him push open the washroom door instead. She was sitting on the cold tile floor in a charcoal designer suit that probably cost more than 2 months of his rent. Her back against the wall beneath the vanity, knees drawn up, mascara tracking dark lines, down a face that magazines had called ruthlessly beautiful. He recognized her immediately. Catherine Harrington, Chief Operating Officer of Harrington Financial, daughter of billionaire Richard Harrington, a woman whose photograph appeared in the lobby, alongside words like visionary and formidable. She looked up at him with the specific expression of someone caught being human against their will. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Marcus crouched down slowly, not crowding her, just bringing himself to her level. He asked if she needed help. Not in the cautious way of someone calculating liability, but in the straightforward way of someone who simply meant it. Something about that plainness broke through whatever wall she had been maintaining. She told him she could not go home. She told him her father had arranged her engagement that evening to a man she did not choose, in a room full of people applauding a decision that had nothing to do with her actual life. She said it quietly without performance, like someone reading coordinates of a place they were lost. Marcus listened completely. Then he said he knew somewhere warm. She could disappear until she figured out her next step, if she trusted a janitor with a mop bucket. She looked at him for a long moment and said, she trusted him more than anyone she had seen all evening, which was probably the saddest and most honest thing she had said in months. His apartment was small and warm, and smelled like the macaroni and cheese Lily had requested for dinner. Catherine sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in an old flannel blanket while Marcus made tea, and then the bedroom door opened, and Lily appeared in her pajamas with the owl print, blinking, unbothered by the stranger at the table the way only very young children and very old souls can manage. She climbed into the chair across from Catherine, studied her with open curiosity, and said she had been crying, which she could tell because her eyes looked like they needed a hug. Catherine laughed, the sudden, genuine kind that surprises the person doing it. Lily pressed her small hand across the table, and Catherine took it. And Marcus watched from the kitchen doorway and felt something shift in the room, like pressure before weather changes. They talked until nearly 5 in the morning. Lily falling asleep against Catherine's arm on the couch. Marcus and Catherine speaking in low voices about things that mattered. His wife who had died when Lily was 18 months old. Her mother who had died when Catherine was 12 and left her to be shaped entirely by a father who measured love in acquisition. Outside, the blizzard was still working. Inside, something quieter was beginning. Richard Harrington's lawyers appeared at Marcus's workplace 4 days later. The offer was presented on paper thick enough to feel like a statement. A number followed by enough zeros to change the entire trajectory of Marcus Webb's life, in exchange for complete and permanent absence from his daughter's orbit. Marcus read the document carefully. He thought about Lily asking him that morning why the pretty lady hadn't come back to visit yet. He thought about fear, which he knew well, and integrity, which he had learned costs more than money but cannot be replaced by it. He handed the document back and said no with the calm of someone who had already made the decision before the lawyers arrived. The confrontation with Richard Harrington himself happened in a glass conference room and lasted 22 minutes. The billionaire was accustomed to rooms rearranging themselves around his presence. Marcus sat across from him without rearranging. He told Richard that Catherine was not an asset requiring protection from outside influence. She was a person who deserved to choose her own life. Richard Harrington had not been spoken to this way in a very long time. The silence afterward was not comfortable, but it was honest. Winter does not end because you ask it to. It ends because the earth keeps turning and eventually light gets the upper hand. Catherine and Marcus did not ride into a guaranteed sunset. What they had was fragile and new and worth protecting carefully. What existed for certain was this: a 7-year-old girl who asked her father the following: Saturday morning if the pretty lady might want to come for macaroni again, and a man who picked up his phone with steady hands and sent a message that said simply, Lily wants to know if you're free Saturday, and a woman who read it twice and wrote back immediately, I'll bring dessert. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is macaroni and cheese and a child's hand across a table and a blizzard that eventually, quietly, begins to thaw. If this story touched your heart, please show your love and support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel, Kindness True Stories, where every story is a reminder that ordinary people carry extraordinary grace.